Hello guys and welcome to the Imperial Feast card discussion. The expansion has been out and I played a bit in the event, so I made myself a better idea of what the cards do and how they interact with each other. So I'll give you my personal opinion about these cards and what I think will be played and which one instead will not. So, starting from the warlord, Alexis Pollux, um, it's basically a Zahariel that puts a Gargadon squad into play instead of the Astartes recruit. The Gargadon squad is a 2-2 with Bastion 2, so it's basically a 2-4 until you attack, and then it's a 2-2. Bastion works that it prevents all the damage that is in first stance scaled by Bastion and then by your health, unless you're attacking. If you attack, the Bastion simply doesn't trigger and you lose your health. If with Gargadon squad attack a warlord or a 2 attack troop, you lose the Gargadon squad, for example. And this guy, I think that in events it's pretty good because you always have the turn 1 play with Gargadon squad and you put pressure on the board, and the most important thing is that you can actually use the Gargadon squad in order to trade with the 3 energy play from the other player, while still having 3 energy in order to advance the board yourself. In constructed, I think that he is bad, mainly because of the low initiative and 30 HP, which is not a great combination. Imagine him going second against Perturabo. I mean, there is no possible way he could win such a matchup. Also, because since this faction is not warlord centric, you are just the only one that can maybe pull out a win would be Rogaldor, because he can bump himself for 2 every turn. But even then, I do think that the warlord centric is not their strength. And Alexis Pollux, I think it lacks something out of all of this, and it's by far, I think, the worst in constructed of the 3 warlords. Rogaldor, instead, he gives Bastion 2 to a friendly unit and has his Reckoning. So it starts with 1 less card, basically, in order to get the Reckoning, which is 30 cost, and -1 cost for every troop you control at the start of your turn. I like the condition, I do not like the cost. I think that 30, if you get this to a playable size, you already won the game, I think. Unless you're playing against some control, maybe curse or something, and you could be able to trigger this, and by no means you automatically win the game activating this, because the Reckoning gives you the empowered form of Rogaldor, the Praetorian of Terra, and he creates a stone gauntlet in your hand and gives Bastion 3 to a unit for 1 energy instead of 2. So this is really good. This is very conditional, and I saw games in which this was basically useless. Also, the stone gauntlet does not go away, so it increases your hand size, and you could mill cards because of this, and they cost 4, so it's this card right here. Each of your units deal damage equal to its bastion to a random enemy. This card is very good. in certain decks, in certain situation. It's a very conditional card. It can do absolutely nothing, or it the enemy for a shit ton of damage. So overall, I think that the Rogaldor Reckoning is okay, not something you're going to activate every game, and yeah, I think that the lower end side actually is not that great for him. Sigismund, I think, has the worst ability of all of them. He has, though, a purple card, much similar to the Corswain one, and this gives you Warlord +2/+0 and Frontline. This, I think, it's mainly for offensive purpose. You take out with a tempo swing your enemy 4-drop, and you gain frontline, so your troops can't be attacked, and that's it. Its ability is completely useless. It's a worse Nemetor ability for 1 energy, and I think, but well, versus Karn is pretty useful, but still it doesn't make you win the game. So um, I don't know. Out of the three, it could have an edge because of the extra card, but so could Rogaldorn with a much better ability and the 5 more HP, which in some games can do the trick. Both of these have medium initiative, though I'm actually very interested in seeing the next warlord, the next epic warlord, because I think that if he is good, it could really break the faction, because none of these warlords have that crazy ability. If maybe we could see a Corswain type of warlord, and not obviously Corswain and not Death Offensive, but by the fact that this is the best warlord for this faction, because its ability crazy good, and the purple card and so on. And I think that if they actually gain a very good warlord, it could break the faction very easily. So Aximov support, this card is nowhere playable in constructed. It's a 1/3 for 1, and its effect basically does nothing, so okay. Shield charge, interesting card. I don't know if it's worth a slot in the Imperial Fist deck. It could deal some pretty big damage, especially versus solo warlords, and especially with Rogaldorn. But yeah, I don't actually know if I would include this in one of my decks. The problem with Bastion is that your opponent can control if you have Bastion or not, and there are not that many ways to get Bastion immediately, so I think that shield charge is actually not that great. Garradon squad, no please. You could play much better things than this guy. Between neutral cards, I mean, would you rather play this or Malkiel? Malkiel with Bastion is amazing, and so is Kaizulain. And these neutral cards will actually be, I think, incredibly good with Imperial Fists. Gerlach Squad is not bad. 2/3 for 2, that gives +1/+1. You could play maybe turn 1 Kaizulain and something, and turn 2 you have 2/3. It's not that bad. Harenburg, first legendary. Create a copy in your hand with your next troop you play this turn and reduce this cost by 4. I think that this card, I was actually pretty interested in seeing how this works. And overall, in event in is not that good because it slows down your tempo, but the thing is that you maybe do not have the time to take on this. In constructed though, where you have a drilling site, this card is much stronger, I think, and it could actually see some very uh, good amount of play, um, especially because first of all, it doesn't say that it has to be an Imperial Fist troop, so it could just be like play this on turn 2, drilling site, double Jubak, and your opponent is like, what? Uh, or you could do this and on turn maybe like 4, you have one troop on the board, you have this, and go Goragan squad, and now you have a 4-5 and a 5-6 on the board on turn 4, and this is pretty amazing. I think that this is one of the cards that can be utterly broken, depending on the situation and on what you have in your hand. Praetorian Recruit. This is not bad. I think that also this, if some sort of combo is made within the Imperial Feast, this is part of it. Because the fact that it reduces the cost by 4 means that you can play more things in the same turn, and maybe you could be able to put out an OTK. I don't know actually why I do not play combo decks. I do not like them, so but maybe this could be a good card for making a combo. Praetorian Recruit. So 3-2 with flank, already pretty good. For 2 energy, gains Frontline Ambassador 2. I think that as a flanker is way more useful than the frontline type of thing, but it's nice. It's nice to have your deck, I think. It's multi-purpose card. It can be useful against solo warlords because you do not need a flank and you gain the front line, and actually resists a need for Angron. So yeah, I do think that this card is not that bad. Also a 3-2 for 2 is with flank is alright. Then we have Preemptive Strike, gives sneak attack to a friendly Astartes this turn. Yeah, but okay, I do not think actually that Astartes are that nice for Imperial Fist. It's not bad. Maybe you could see some play, but I'm not that sure about it. Sneak attack is really good, but it's also on one Astartes. I mean, it's really good with Goragan squad, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, if you play Goragan squad, you most certainly are playing also like the perimetral defenses, the Kestros, and yeah, you do not have that much of um, an Astartes focus. Although I think that they have some really good buff for Astartes, they just lack good Astartes, but whatever. Then we have Shield Cover. I think that this card will see play because it's plus 3 health to anything and draw a card. So cycles and actually bumps your units by 3 health. Yeah, this card is nice. Also, Bastion obviously interacts with Shield Charge and Stone Gauntlet. So yeah, I think that this is pretty good. Fortification Mastery. This will almost certainly see play. it puts in play 2 sentry turrets. And what are sentry turrets? It's a 1/2 that cannot attack and relentless deals 2 damage to a random enemy. This card can be incredibly annoying to deal with, and I think that this is a part of it. You put in play 2 of these, and the opponent has to get rid of it, because there are some ways to make sentry turrets incredibly powerful. So yeah, this card will see play. And by the way, the card that makes turrets so scary is Fortified Outpost. This can't attack, and Resolution trigger the relentless ability of your structures. And for 1 energy, you deal 3 damage. So, first of all, it's 2/4 for 3. It's okay. Okay stat line. But the resolution effect is what really makes this card amazing. At turn 6 you could place Fortification Mastery and Fortified Outpost, and now you have you deal 4 damage to the enemy board, and then you have a 2/4 and 2 1/2s in your hand, in play, and also if they are not taken out, they trigger again on the next turn. And this is why I think that Imperial Thieves actually need front lines. It's not like a nice thing to have, it's part of their game plan to have front lines. So yeah, I think that these will definitely see play. Also this, if you have 2 of these in play, they trigger the resolution, the relentless effect twice, so they could deal up to if you have 4 turrets and 2 fortified outposts, you're going to deal 16 damage on the resolution effect and another 8 on the relentless effect. So yeah, it's some serious stuff right here. Also, you could Hamburg and have a 0 energy fortified outpost, and this is gonna be useful for a card that we will see later, this combo right here. Then we have Zamalian Architecture. Give Bastion 3 to your structures in play. I don't know if this will be played, it's pretty slow. Sure, the effect is strong, but we will see another card that I think will be played way more than this. Then we have Castros, very good card. This card is really good. 2/3 for 3, so it comes down on turn 2 and puts down a sentry turret. And most importantly, it has frontline, so it protects your warlord and your other sentry turrets from being attacked. This guy, I think, will see some very good amount of play. Also, it's an Astartes and synergizes both with Astartes build and with structure builds. So I think that this is a very good card. Sergeant Ahmad. This card got buffed, I think, from giving Bastion to this to giving Bastion to everything with the rage effect. It's actually not bad. I think that you want to play one of these anyway in your deck almost every time, because it's at 3/5 that gives Bastion every time it's damaged. Note that the Bastion, if you strip out the Bastion of it, it doesn't count as damaged, so the rage doesn't trigger. But yeah, I think that this card also, as I said, in my opinion, Imperial Fist needs to have front lines, and this is actually a very cool way to get a frontline unit for 3 energy. Almost certainly the opponent is not gonna take this out turn 2. Or they have breach, or they mostly it's very hard. Even Karn has struggles to deal with this, I think, turn 2. So yeah, I think that this card is pretty good. Sergeant Ileus. This card is really bad. and 2/4 for 3 is already bad, and give a Bastion 2 to a friendly Astartes and not like every Astartes. It's awful. Do not play this card. Sustained Barrage. Deal 2 damage when an enemy repeats this effect with its friendly structure into play. I don't actually know how to evaluate this card. I mean, it depends on how hard you have snowballed in your game, but I think that you could deal an incredible amount of damage between these, the Fortified Outpost, and creating with Fortification Mastery. Like this for 9 energy is 10 damage to the enemy board plus putting some stuff into play. So I think that this could have a place. It's very hard to evaluate. Maybe if this card would be a 2 of, a 1 of, or if it is too slow to be played. I do not dislike it. I think it's very hard to evaluate. Darsway 4/4/4/4. Put a Garradon Squall into play for 0 energy. The 0 energy thing is really good, and I think that if you want to go for Astartes, maybe you could play 1 of, otherwise it's not worth it. Discipline Fire. Deal 4 damage to an enemy troop and stun it. Mostly this card is a no, by the way, because you have better 4-drops. Discipline Fire. Deal 4 damage to an enemy troop and stun it. So if this would have been to an enemy and stun it, if you could, this could hit the Warlord, this would be very, very good. Being that it only can stun the troop and deal damage to the troop is not that great. I think that this card will not see that much of a play. Maybe as a 1 of to keep in check some dangerous thing, but or as a removal, but yeah, I mean 4 damage is not that much for 4 energy to a troop. So yeah, it's maybe one of the worst 4 energy deal damage card, I think, because compared it to the Blood Angels one, the Blood Angels one can deal damage to the Warlord, and also if he kills something it gives +1/+1. It doesn't stun, but it can hit a Warlord, so it could reach lethal for you. Well, this cannot. I don't know, I do not think that this card is that good. Stun is obviously great, but well, Goragan Squad. This is an amazing card. This card is very, very, very strong. It can snowball you the game completely. I made games in which this was like 5/6 turn 3, and it's amazing how fast this can grow, and I think it's actually overstated. I think that a 2/3/4/4 that gains +1/+1 is actually nice, because if you have only 1 troop, it's a 4/5/4/4. If you have 2 troops, it's a 5/6/4/4, which is definitely overstated. So yeah, they would keep an eye on this, I think, because it's really strong. Crossbar Squad. 3/4/4/4 frontline and stun enemies that attack this troop. I do not dislike this, honestly. The stun, it's pretty nice, and also the main thing that lets you down is the stat line, because 3/4 is not great. But you could actually bump the health of this with this card right here, which we will talk in a moment. I will keep an eye on this, because the stun is really valuable in order to give you time to build up your board and your late game situation. Litano Squad. Bastion 2 and deal 3 damage for 2 energy. I do not like this. It's a 3/5 for 4, which is okay, but the active also the Bastion 2 is not +2 health, it's worse. So, and also the deal 3 damage is for 2 energy, it's okay, but really you do not want to waste 2 energy. You're already pretty um, tight with energy in Imperial Fist, I think. So this is not what you want to be doing, I think, with, in your turn 4 or turn 5. Yeah, for me this card is a no-no. Stalwart Defenders. Your warlord gains resolution, give your Bastion 2 to your troops. Before it was, I think, Relentless, give your Bastion 2 to your troops, so a worse Mantle of Ultramar, and we all know how bad Mantle of Ultramar is. I think that this card is very good. And yes, it's slow, but especially on Rogaldor, which has 40 health and can tank a lot of hits, also with his active ability. This can make your turrets, when you drop them, 3 health. You could make every, if you have 2 of these, they have 4 health. And this is gonna play really nicely into the Stone Gauntlet you generate from your resolution. So I think that this card will be played for sure as a 2-of in Rogaldorn, because he wants to put stuff onto play and he wants stuff to resist, and giving them +1 health every turn is how you do it. So this I think is a 2-of in Rogaldorn, and maybe a 2-of even in Sigismund, which I think could be a little bit more aggressive than Rogaldor, and this guy is non-existent in constructed, I think. So I could be wrong, but the low initiative is like bad. Also, we have a Stone Gauntlet. I do not think that this card will be played, but there is something right here, and if you could gain Bastion more easily, I mean, Stalwart Defender is. I do not yet play the deck with double Stalwart, so I don't actually know how easily you can get this, and then you could have the Stone Gauntlet. But yeah, it's a little bit too clunky, and also 4 energy is pretty high in the cost. Void Maneuver. I like this card. So you stun 1 random enemy for every troop you control. The fact is that you could play the Fortification Mastery and get 2 troops, and then you stun 2 enemies. I do not think that this card is overly powerful, but it's really annoying, and if you already have a nice board, this can simply knock out opponents out of the game, because they no longer are able to kill your troops, and you instead will continue to dish out damage with structures or Astartes. And yeah, I think that this card is very good. Arcamus, Praetorian of Dawn. So rally, give +2/+2 to your other Astartes, for 4/5 for 5. That gives +2/+2. So this card is amazing. I think that this might be one of the best Astartes in the game. The fact is that other Astartes for Imperial Fists are not that good. You could play like turn 1 Garradon Squad, turn 2 Sergeant Alamand, and turn 3 you could play Arcamus, and now you have a 4 with Bastion 2, 5/5 with Bastion 2, and a 4/5 into play. And that could be a very high, very good curve. But yeah, otherwise I do not think that they have that good of a Astartes. However, if an Astartes build comes around is because of him and Goragan squad, I think, because this card, the buff it gives is amazing. Also, it's a rally effect. Like Surgar Targost gives us slightly worse buff, but it's on a relentless effect, so it's very different. Then we have Lord and Terminators. They have a resolution to put a sentry turret into play, but it's a 3-5-4-5, which is not great. And I think that the ideal situation would be to play Stalwart Defenders on turn 3 and Lord and Terminators on turn 4. But the fact is that since your Warlord activates the resolution effect before the Lord and Terminators, the sentry turret is not gonna get Bastion. So it's okay, but again, I think they lack something here. It's not awful as a card, but it's not even great. Ozrak support is straight up bad. Perimeter defenses, frontline can't attack, and rally put 2 sentry turrets. So, I like this card, because it puts out a 4-8 worth of stats. If you have put Stalwart Defenders on your earlier turn, you have a 2-5 and 2 1-3s that deal damage on the start of your turn. The main, I think you play 2 of these, just from the raw pressures that sentry turrets put to your opponent. But yeah, I think that this card is very good. Also, as 5, you could drop at 8 energy, you could drop Fortified Outpost and Perimeter Defenses. Now you deal 4 damage to the enemy board. You have a 2/4 that triggers, that makes your board work better. A 2/4 to get through, and 2 sentry turrets to kill. And I think that this is a very good tempo play, and yeah, I think that there is something here. Resolve to Stone. Give frontline until your next turn and best in 4 to a friendly unit. This card is interesting, but yeah, 5 energy is really high. I guess that you could play this on your Warlord in order to protect your other stuff, since it's not likely that he's gonna get killed, and also because he gains +4 health. But yeah, I think that Resolve to Stone, the only way for this to be playable is to be put on your Warlord to protect your other units. But honestly, I do not see this card being played. This will be played. It's a 3/3 with best in 2, so it's a 3/5 as long as it's not attacking with frontline, and rarely it puts another one of these into play. So it's basically a 6/10 for 6 energy. Nice. Templar Brethren. It's a 5/4 with Bastion 3, and your Warlord gains Bastion 3. It kinda lacks something. If this would have been also a frontline, I would say yes, of course. Being it a 5/4, which is killed by the 5 energy taunt from Skitari Protector on the attack, it's the 4 health is so low. Many things in this game have 4 attacks, so I think bumping this to a 5 health might actually seal the deal, and you could play 1, but being as it is, I don't think that it's worth. Velkosh Wirewill, this card is very strong. I mean, they deal 2 damage to 3 random enemies, and it's a 5/5 for 6 energy. So it gives you tempo and swing you the board, and it's a 5/5 for 6, so you can be played turn 3 with the supply lanes. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Assault Echelon. No. Um, no, why? Because it's a 6/6 for 7 and it's not gonna resist until your next turn, so the effect is completely pointless. Also, it costs 3 energy, which is not that low, and it's a win more card. If you have a big board and this is into play and it gets to activate, you already won the game. Retribution. It's not bad. You could actually discount this by playing troops and then play it for a lower cost. So I think that this card is pretty useful, and will see play as a one of in most Imperial Fist decks, I think, if not two of. First wall. Um, in constructed, no thanks, cause Megator uh, and Forex and Durak, but apart from this, it's not bad. I think that the thing I want to understand is if you do not break Bastion, do actually Forex and Durak trigger? Because I think they do not, but whatever. I think that the first wall is very good in event because it's a 410 and put in place center turrets, but in the constructed is fairly too slow. We have better front lines, and Megator is very bad. You cannot play Megator on Phalanx Warders because they would put again two Phalanx Warders into play. So you give them from one Phalanx Warders. The first wall it's a 7 energy that can be bounced and does nothing when it comes into play and cannot attack, and it costs 3 energy to play the center turret, so I don't think that this will be played. Captain Alexandro. Bastion 4, so it's a 610 in defense, and resolution is 3 to your units. To your troops, not to your units, because it doesn't hit your warlord, but this card is not bad. I mean, 80 energy is a bit pricey, but it can do some work also if you play very bulky stuff like even the Lord and Terminators have 5 health, or the Goragan Squad, or even Arcanus. This can continuously heal and you continuously gain Bastion. And when you attack, the interesting thing about Bastion is when you attack you do not lose it. So you actually stack health on top of Bastion with this. And I think that this is not that bad. As a one-off, if maybe you could make an Astartes build possible, I think that Captain Alexander goes in it. Then we have Justici Gunfreed, one of the most broken cards I think of all Imperial Fists. Deals 3 damage on a rally to a random enemy for each other unit you control. This in event straight up wins games when it comes down, because it deals 18 damage on average. It's amazing, very strong card. If you see this in events, take it because it will win you games far more than it should. I think that changing it to 2 damage is actually a nice thing, because otherwise this it already deals 3 damage to as it comes down. I mean, it's random, so it's not great, but even if it dealt like 6 damage, or it's already good. If it deals 9 damage is absurd. If it deals 12, 15 or 18 damage is just, it's a nuke. I think that it's very strong. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but I'm every time I played this card in event, I drafted it once. Every time I played it, I won. Every time it was played against me, I lost. So I think that this card is really strong. Also, it's discountable with Arenberg, and now we have a 4 energy Justice Gunfreed, and you could play double Fortification Mastery and one Justice Gunfreed, and now you have a 15 damage dealing card for 4 energy. It's a bit crazy. And we have Phalanx, the mobile fortification. So draw 4 cards. Your warlord gains Bastion 4 and refill 4 energy. This will see play in most Imperial Fist decks, I think. Drawing 4 is nice because they lack card draw. Warlord gain Bastion 4 is nice again. Refilling 4 is very good. You could, if you get this out of supplies, it's gonna be rough because you play it on 6 and now you have 4 energy. And yeah, and you have all the other good stuff that this gives. I think that, yeah, this will be played. Kyrion Cataphracti. So, Frontline 7/6, Bastion 4, and for 2 energy it gains Bastion 4. No thanks, cause it's a 9 energy for a 7/10 with Frontline that has 6 health when attacking. So I don't think that this card would be very good. Agathon Falchion. Well, this card can be good in Desperate Defenses, honestly, cause 7/6 with Bastion 4 and Frontline, it's actually pretty nice to get out of Desperate Defenses, and also this card is gonna be nasty because it's a 8/12 for 10 that deals 6 damage to an enemy and stun it for 2 energy at 8/12 for 10 energy, and if it gets Frontline, this card can be good. Also, they have no reason almost. Well, they can simply play standard stuff and not play troops at all. I do not think that Desperate Defense, Imperial Fist will be a thing, but it could be possible with this card. Then we have Defender of Terra, and this is why the 0 energy Fortified Outpost comes into play, because you put 3 sentry turrets and 2 phalanx warders into play, and then you play the 0 energy thing, and now you are dealing 6 damage and you're putting a shit ton of stuff into play. If you have double stalwart defenders, this is gonna be a nightmare to deal with. You have 2 3/7s with Frontline, and you have 3 1/4s that you need to deal with, because otherwise they're going to dish out damage every turn. And after this, if you play the Fortified Outpost, you have also a 2/6 that deals 3 damage with 1 energy, and that procs your sentry turrets every turn. I think that this card could very probably see play in Rogaldor as a 1 or 1 of, I think, maybe 2 of, but I think 1 of, as a late game refill, because you want to continuously fill your board in order to make something to stick, because you discount your ability, your reckoning, and you actually have things that works with board. This is a very board centric faction, so I do think that, yeah, this is not gonna be played, I think. Then we have the counter attack, give Bastion 2 to a friendly unit. It's not bad, it's not great, it's basically a +2, but it doesn't work on attacking. So yeah, it's not bad, but whatever. It could be worse. About some neutral cards that I think are nice with them, for sure, Kaizulain, because it gives you stuff to play and also removal, because they lack a bit removal, and also, yeah, you can bastion it and this becomes incredibly hard to deal with precognition, so this will be I think really good. Malkial will also be really good because you can go this turn 1, turn 2, Stalwart Defenders, and this is a 1/5, and you have from this you can snowball completely. Dewback is obviously gonna be really good, gives you resources, it gives you a target. This with the counter attack is a 2/5. It's hard to be getting out to get out of this turn 2 if it's a 2/5. So yeah, I like this card with Imperial Fist. I think that another very good card would be where is it? Mount Pharos, because Mount Pharos has a relentless effect, and this um, triggers relentless effect of your structure. So if you actually put the Fortified Outpost, when you have down a 4/9, which is not likely to be taken out, where is it? There. You actually gain at the end of the turn a started that costs you less. So this is actually really nice. Then other nice stuff that could be played are Terraforming, for sure. Where is it? Well, supplies is I think a must-have for them. They lack card draw, and it's actually going to hamper your power plays, to boost your power plays. Archaeology, I do not think so, because they already put a lot of stuff on the board. You do not need archaeology. Then going to Mechanicum. This is way harder. Well, Terraforming for sure. I think that this card could be very useful with them. But apart from that, I do not think that they have very good ways of of getting use of Mechanicum. Let's see also on the Chaos one, because I think, well, obviously a command bridge, but I think that there is one nice card to have. Asame can be very nice actually, because you can bounce your thing and actually proc your rally effects, and you have a fair amount of them a lot of time. Seek and Destroy can be a very good cheap removal, and I think that a very good card would be where is it? Ekra, because Ekra, if you have it with Stalwart Defenders, you actually are going to take, he is going to take no damage, because he takes 1 damage but gets 1 back. And actually, since he is not attacking, I think that if this if you have Bastion 1, you take 1 damage out of the Bastion, not from his health. So I think that this card will be seen a lot in the Imperial Fist faction. Also, it's already hard to get rid of Ekra. If you have Rogaldor, you can make this +2 health every turn. Then we have, of course, the AoE, that apart from the tank they lack a bit. Pyramid of Photep could be played, but yeah, I think it's a bit too weak. I mean, the Mount Pharos is way more impactful and has a way better body than Pyramid of Photep, so I do not think that this would be that good. And then this is basically other stuff. So yeah, this is what I think about Imperial Fists and some synergy that I think could be interesting with the neutral cards. Let me know what you think, if you like the faction. And yeah, I'll see you guys as soon as possible, and for sure I want to cover also the Sister of Silence, and especially the Agent of the Sigillite. um, I will not make a guide soon for Imperial Fist, because I have not that high amount of gold, and I'm not spending them. No, I'm not spending the gold on Imperial Fists because it's not my favorite faction, and I think that for my playstyle they are not great. I want to see Sister of Silence, but most of all I want to see the Agent of the Sigillite. And this, I think, is where I will spend most of my uh, money. So that was it. So overall, I think cards that are very good. Haramberg, um, Fortified Outpost, Sergeant Ahmad, um, Kestros, Goragen Squad, Stalwart Defenders. Arcamus could be Perimetral Defenses, Phalanx Warders, Justice Gunfreed, Phalanx, Verkosh Wild, Retribution, it's gonna be played for sure, and Defenders of Terra, I think that is good. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I think about the faction. About the Warlord, as I said, small recap, this is not gonna see playing constructed, and these wins for the end sides, this wins for the ability and the reckoning. Overall, I think that Sigismund could have the edge because of the purple card, but I don't know. It's actually very weak on the ability side. So the 35 the 35 health second warlord could actually have a pretty big edge on Sigismund, and we will see what is to come. So thank you guys for watching, I'll see you guys next time.